My name is James Michael Matthew. The title of my book is Building a Selfless Economy. Our nation, the world, and humanity are in crisis due to the convergence of several individual crises that unfortunately are coming together in one time period for the only time in history. And those individual crises begin with a debt crisis. This nation has a debt crisis. Consumers have a debt crisis. The government has a debt crisis. Next, there's a wealth inequality crisis. If you're in the top 20% of the world and the wealth pyramid, you're doing great. But if you're in the other 80%, in the middle of that 80%, you're probably making it, but barely. And if you're in the bottom 50, which is an extremely large number, you very well may not be making it at all. We have a climate change crisis, and it's real. And the only solution that's being bannered about, net zero carbon, will never work. We have a demographics crisis, largely driven by modern inventions of birth control and contraceptives. That will never change. So that's a new event, a game changer in history that will never change. That combined with medical inventions of allowing people to live longer is creating populations around the world, and this country is included, that are going to be permanently aged and permanently older than they've ever been in history. Last but not least, there is a strategic atrophy crisis. Strategic atrophy is the military term that the military applies to civilian populations that do not understand the military threat confronting them. This nation is in a strategic atrophy crisis. World War III has already started. The new Axis powers led by China, including Russia, Iran, and North Korea, have a common goal in mind, and that is to establish a new world order and make the rest of the world subservient to them. There have been 4 industrial revolutions dating back to the first one started around 1760, and they have one thing in common. They all took from the planet and are still taking from the planet with little regard to ever giving back to the planet. So we have a situation where the planet is running out of natural resources. That is one of the main drivers of inflation and one of the reasons why governments around the world are having great difficulty keeping inflation down. That is not going to stop, it's going to increase. Another factor that these 4 industrial revolutions have in common, and that is they always assume that if you increase productivity, everyone gains. Generally that's true, but eventually you reach a point where if your solution and the end goal is increasing productivity, you always want the best people, you always want the best lands, you always want the best natural resources, and you cast other people aside, and you cast other lands aside, eventually you can't maintain an economy and society around that because too many people are at the bottom and they have nothing to do, they have no purpose in life. So what can we do? Well, my solution, and that's why I wrote Building the Selfless Economy, our solution should be, in my opinion, is to focus our society and economy, both nationally and globally, on healing the planet, building a healthy planet, and having a society then that can be healthy. So my strategy is to build a society and economy around healing the planet, making a healthy planet. And I know that sounds great, right, in cocktail conversation, but how do you do that? How can that possibly be done? And so my solution is to adopt these 5 principles. First, we have to make healing the planet the universal crime sentence. Secondly, we have to build the infrastructure to allow us to heal the planet and to maintain and manage a healthy planet. Third, we have to unleash the value of fallow government-owned real estate. Fourth, we have to build a new global but U.S.-led maritime industry, and that industry, that new maritime industry, has to be built under the strategy of drones. Drone boats, drone ships, sailing the world. And then fifth, we have to end strategic atrophy. And we have to prove that Lenin was wrong. Lenin famously said that the capitalists of the world would sell him the rope that he would hang them with, or they would hang themselves. Well, we have to prove that that is false. So in summary, my book, Building the Selfless Economy, Saving Humanity in Crisis, is a new invention. It's a new invention. It's an economic invention. It's a political invention. It's an industrial policy invention. And it's built around implementing these 5 steps. If we do this, we can take advantage of what I say is the biggest economic and social opportunity for this nation since the Louisiana Purchase. And we can have a planet, we can build a planet that will be healthier than before humans ever stepped foot on the earth.